4 hours. Yep, 4 hours. Crazy stuff. All right, going over this quiz here. All right. Let's see what we got going on. Actually, yeah, we can do this. We can just bring it up, and I can go over the questions then afterwards. All righty, there we go. So, number 1, what do we have here, Andrew? Alaska. Good work. Who do we purchase that from?
Russia.
All right, good job. And we did that, Age of Imperialism, right? Monroe Doctrine. We're trying to make sure we can push these European powers out of the Western Hemisphere. Cody, you want to pop those out for me, please? Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. 2, what do we have, Zerby? Midway Islands. Yep. Sorry to confuse you there, guys. But, hey, I only left 3 options, 3 multiple choice questions. And the other 2 were definitely not it, right? Should have been a dead giveaway. Midway. It's midway between, right, Japan and the United States. Smack dab right in the middle. Midway Islands. Good job. 3. What do we have here? I was going to call on you, Owen, but go ahead, Kale. Dunder Mifflin. Nice shirt. Do you like The Office? Love it. Who's your favorite character? Dwight. I like Dwight, too. Dwight's sweet. I like him. What do we have for number 3? Right here. Sorry, can you see it? Japan. Good work. Oh, that's right. Kale, he just...
Borrow Kale. Now, you don't have to come over now. I just have to do his height, weight, and vision. When you're done teaching...
Well, he just got the answer right, so he can go ahead.
So he can come over now? Well, good for him.
There we go. Thank you. I almost forgot.
That's okay.
All right, 4. Go ahead, Chris. What do we have? China. Yes, China. Okay, good. So we know Japan, Imperial Japan, taking most of all of China. A lot of the things that they were doing there was not pretty, not good. A lot of atrocities, which still fuels a lot of hatred and rivalry between these 2 countries. Yep, still today. There are some better relations, obviously, with trade and things like that, but still, I don't know, a little nerve-wracking over there. What do we have for 5 here? Go ahead, Alyssa. 5 right here. You don't know? Oh, anyone want to help her? Go ahead, Jakari. Mongolia. Yep, good job. Mongolia. All right, Cody, 6. Soviet Union. Yep. But, yeah, modern day Russia. Soviet Union. Good. All right, 7. What do we have? Go ahead, Angel. 7. You know this, where Pearl Harbor happened. The battle. Pearl Harbor's still there. What do we got? Volcanoes there. You go there for vacation. Hawaii. Yeah, good job. Hawaii. Good work. 8. Go ahead, Haley Ryder. Australia. Good eye, mate. Right? Laying down under. 9. What do we have here? Andrew. It's covering it up quite a bit, but it's right next to Japan. What? Korean Peninsula. Good job. Korean Peninsula. What's up?
Were North and South Korea established?
Nope. Japan had control over it. They took them over. And then they formed afterwards. 10. Zerby? Indian Ocean. Good job, Indian Ocean. And there were a few questions. I would bring it up, but since I'm recording, I don't know whose quiz might come up, so I don't want to give someone's grade away. So I think the other one, we talked about the Bataan Death March, right? We talked about, when was Pearl Harbor? That's a very significant date. Year? 1941. Good job. December 7th, 1941. Good. And we talked about the fall of the Philippines, right? Okay. The United States was pushed out of the Philippine Islands. It was a territory, military base for a long time since the Spanish-American War. Japan pushed us out. Good. Who was the 5-star general of the United States in the Pacific Theater? Nope. He's European theater. We'll talk about him soon. Jakari? Douglas MacArthur. There we go. Good work. Okay, is there any questions on that, guys? You guys good with the quiz? All right, good stuff. Okay. Bellringer for today. Describe the dangers of American ships that are entering the war in Europe, traveling across the Atlantic Ocean. All right, not only World War II, but World War I, which we already talked about. We described that, and it's just almost like a little bit of a review. Just the boats, the ships, the convoy system is just a little bit more elaborate now, more high tech. And I'll show you a video then after the lesson today. And before you guys can work on your project presentations, that kind of puts it in perspective of what this travel across the Atlantic was really like. So like I said, project presentations will be Wednesday. Okay, I'm going to move it up. I know I said after, but you guys have enough time. I'll give you time today after the lesson, and tomorrow after the lesson, and Wednesday we should crack them all out of the way. Obviously, those at home, learning remote, record it, attach it to the announcement. I'll have those graded over the break. All the grades will be updated. So where are you stocking at, Owen?
We're in stock down at the library.
Okay, nice. Cool.
Pretty excited, man.
Oh, I bet. I'll be jacked up. How long does that usually take? Just
We should.
an hour?
It's not like a huge stock, but we didn't use it the first time in 2 years now.
Are you floating it, or are you just dumping
I
buckets?
think we're just gonna dump the bucket.
I was gonna say, my buddy helps with over Macantongo Creek, Clingerstown, and they usually float that. But when they did it, there was still ice in the creek, and they just dumped them in the buckets.
Is that recently?
A couple weeks ago now.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was beginning of March they did it.
Probably where I'm not all fished out from using it.
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough this year. Everybody's gonna be elbow to elbow at the bridges, I think.
I think that too. So I'm getting up at 4 o'clock to take my girlfriend and go to town before we were
4 o'clock in the morning.
talking.
You're gonna camp out, huh? My brother and his buddy used to do that, just have a campsite, like at the one spot that they always fish at. So,
And the Amish always fish them all out.
oh,
And we see them there.
we're recording right now. I got a big audience of Amish people, so you might get it.
They're known for.
Where's Chase Lentz at? Is he here today?
No,
Is he remote? Man, I saw him at Lifton today. That's what I was wondering. Him and Colin. All right, so let's go over this real quick. Here we go. Bellringer. Describe the dangers for American ships that are entering the war in Europe, traveling across the Atlantic Ocean. So we left off. Where did we leave off at? Coral Sea, right? I believe so. Out in the Pacific, okay? So United States getting involved heavily out in the Pacific theater now, and we took our lumps in 1941, 1942. Obviously, with the loss of Pearl Harbor, okay, the surprise attack, and then the next day, the war started. The United States is jumping head over heels into this war, and the Pacific theater and the European theater, which we'll talk about today and tomorrow, and how the United States and the Allied powers are going to try to push back the Axis powers in Europe. So that being said, at Pearl Harbor, we know the Pacific Fleet was almost wiped out entirely, out for 6 months to try to rebuild and reconstruct the battleships to make sure that we can go out and maybe push back the Imperial Japan. And then we discussed, right, what territory got taken over in the Pacific. Which one was that? The United States owned it since the early 1900s after that Spanish-American War. Go ahead, Jakar. The Philippines, good work, right? Philippines right here, guys. So as Japan's expanding, they need resources. They need raw materials to try to fuel their military, obviously, and grow their military. And we know that Japan's an island. They need to expand. So the Philippines try to take out all these allied powers, any enemies, any type of opposition in the Pacific, Southeast Asia. That's their goal. And Japan took over the Philippines pretty easily, right? And we all know the Bataan Death March. We described that event in detail. and obviously some sad stuff there, and with war crimes after the war, which we'll talk about. So it looked like Japan was unbeatable at this moment. So what was their next goal? What did they want to try to take over? Sorry? Yeah, they're pushing down into New Guinea to maybe push the Allied forces powers out of Australia. Good job. All right, but did that happen? What battle prevented that from happening? Coral Sea, good job. And this was significant how? Obviously, we stopped Japan's advancement. Finally, the United States is, finding their footing here in the Pacific Ocean. Why else was it significant? Why was it impactful? Kale, what do you think, buddy? First, yeah, so it was the first time we stopped their advancement. But why else? Why was it so impactful on a world stage in battle and warfare alone in general? Need help on it? Chris, go ahead.
Well, they sent fighter planes, right? And all the pilots survived that went to sit out there. One went to.
I think you're talking about the Doolittle raids. Jakari, go ahead.
It was the first battle between two
Aircraft carriers.
aircraft carriers.
There you go. Yeah. So this is the first time ever there's a battle out in the open water. Aircraft carrier versus aircraft carrier. Planes fighting up in the air. And this is the first ever battle to ensue in this type of environment, in this type of new battlefield, right? Okay, where no longer you need to fight on the land. It can happen out in the open water. And this was significant because the United States finally stopped the advancement, even though we lost and took some damage, right? And when you look at the casualties, when you look at maybe some of the ships that were lost, it looked like the U.S. lost. But in a way, we stopped Japan's advancement, prevented them from taking over New Guinea, the next step to Australia. And from here on out, we'll see the United States gaining traction and winning some battles to try to push the tide in the Pacific. I like that, push the tide in the Pacific. Oh, a little pun there, a little joke. All right, so we'll go over Battle of Midway here shortly. But I want to get involved here with the United States and Great Britain pushing into North Africa in the European theater. We'll discuss that more tomorrow. Today, I just want to focus on this Atlantic convoy because it's very important to talk about. Many times when you read over World War II, kind of gets skipped over. But this was one of the biggest, most crucial, impactful, devastating battlefields there was, traveling across the Atlantic. And how risky it was for the United States. How dangerous it was. All right, so that's the Bellringer for today. Try to have 3 of them this week. That'll be great. Terms, just 2. That's it, just 2. Like I said, this might be almost a repeat from World War I. Very similar, but a little bit different. Okay. Battle of the Atlantic and the Convoy System. So if you're without a battle yet, if there's something that you just couldn't find, maybe you can do the Battle of the Atlantic. This stretches out through the whole course of the war, 1939 and 1941, or 45, sorry. And this just never ends. This never stops. This will be a conflict out in the open waters for the whole war. Not just one specific time. So give you some time. Look up those 2 terms, and we'll reconvene. Discuss. All right, so what do we got? Battle of the Atlantic. What do we got, Jakari?
I just put the longest battle during World War II.
Exactly, right? Good, good. All right, so this is performed out in the open water, the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, not just the Atlantic Ocean, but the Mediterranean Sea, the North Sea. We already talked about a lot of the advancements of Nazi Germany in the North Sea and try to combat against the Royal Navy, okay, Great Britain's Navy, in that North Sea. And this is really these two powers duking it out over dominance, over control in the open waters. We know Germany, they want to try to isolate, try to restrict Great Britain. Okay. We left off with Great Britain being isolated on that island and a blitz occurring. So Germany just constantly bombarding Great Britain with different bombs. Eventually, V-2 rockets we'll talk about, which were somewhat significant at the time. They were still new and still, I guess you could say, under operation yet. So many of them really didn't reach their destination, but they're very impactful. And Germany, trying to encircle Great Britain, cut off any resources coming in to force them to surrender. Chris, what are you doing, man? You watching videos? Better not be. Better not be. All right, convoy system, what do we have? Chris, what do you have for the convoy system?
Convoy system, I have a system that Great Britain had declared that merchant ships traveling across the Atlantic Ocean under the protection of the British Navy.
Yeah, good job. Good job. So, convoy system, just naval ships, okay, obviously supply ships coming from the United States. They're traveling in groups, traveling in packs to try to protect themselves from these German U-boats. That's the best way to try to protect yourself. It's like going in a fight. Hopefully no one gets in a fight in here. But you want to have backup, right? You want to have more people with you. That will probably avoid any type of wrongdoing or any type of violence that might ensue. Same with the convoy system. Try to protect these supply ships, cargo ships. They needed an escort, right? They needed some sort of battleships to protect them out in the open water. Because let's face it, is there anywhere to hide out in the open water in this Atlantic Ocean? No. Is there any way I guess you could retreat, but it's really hard to do, especially this long travel, this long distance across the Atlantic Ocean. Okay. So they needed protection. They needed some sort of aid, some sort of help. Also, there's a travel pattern. You think they're just going to sail in a straight line? No. What are they going to do? Cody, what do you think?
Probably the north and come back down south.
Okay, so you're going to come up here and come back down?
Not that far, but
All right.
of a curve.
All right. I just meant like travel patterns. What do you think? Think you're going to go a straight line or are you going to do like a zigzag? Yeah, zigzag. Try to avoid any type of torpedoes. We know with submarines, they're hard to turn, right? Especially underwater, okay? They're really hard to turn and maneuver around. So, especially at the time in 1940s. So, with that being said, the convoy system trying to sail in zigzag motion. Okay, trying to drop any type of depth charges. Try to prevent the U-boats from targeting them and really getting in their way. All right, so real quick, I'll show you a picture of the convoy system and how they would maybe move. I'll show you a video, and then I'll get you guys working on your project since they're due on Wednesday. The presentations will be Wednesday. So real quick, let me bring this up for you. All right, so here's somewhat of a picture of how a convoy system looked like. Obviously, in the middle of the center, we have the supply ships cruising right along. And then on the outside, the barrier, like a shield in a way, they would have the battleships trying to protect them from any type of attacks that Germany might have. And we all know the U-boats, even though by 1941 we have radar, we have a way to try to detect some of these ships. It was still hard to find these U-boats. Okay, it was still hard to try to avoid getting damaged, targeted by the U-boats in the open water. And like I mentioned, there's nowhere to hide. If you get targeted, if you have any type of damage to your ship, to your boat, you're going down, right? You're going down. So this was really risky. This was dangerous for many of these soldiers that had to come over and fight the war in Europe and the supplies in general, right? So armaments, tanks, planes, all of the above, right? So the United States had to try to supply the Soviet Union and Great Britain with all of these supplies and armaments to try to fight off the Axis powers. But let's face it, did Great Britain have a lot of supplies and armaments? No, they're getting constantly bombarded by the Blitzkrieg, right? By the Luftwaffe, by Germany all throughout since 1941, all the way up until really the ending of the war. I'd say maybe 1944, 1943 is when it maybe ended. Okay, same with the Soviet Union. We talked about Stalingrad, right? You guys remember Stalingrad? Yeah, we talked about how devastating the Blitzkrieg was to the Soviet Union up until Stalingrad in 1943. They needed armaments. They needed supplies. You remember those stories I told you? The Soviets, it's like, oh, well, we don't have a gun for you. We're low on supplies and armaments. But hey, once your partner, the guy that's in front of you, once he falls, just pick up his weapon. That's yours. There you go. If you don't have any shells, just pick up some bricks and rocks. Make do with that. Right, so obviously, Soviet Union, Great Britain, they needed some sort of support. And what really won this war for the Allied powers, for the United States? What was the biggest asset for the U.S.? I know I talked about this. What was it, Chris? What was it? What was it?
That was the equipment.
You're on the right track. The production of it, right? The home front. Okay, how we could produce so much supplies and armaments. A lot of it, yeah, we were protected. The war was happening here in Europe. The war was happening here in Pacific. Did it really reach continental United States? No. Okay, yeah, Pearl Harbor got bombed, but that's a military base. For the most part, our industries, our factories, fully protected. We could produce as much supplies as possible. And it was to a point where we were supplying the whole Allied powers to a point where it was really unmatched. It was 2 times the production of any other country, all the countries combined. It was unbelievable. Although we didn't have the most advanced weapon, although we didn't have the best tanks, all right? Germany had some really good tanks. Even the Soviets did too. We just had really 10-1 when it was on the battlefield. If you have more supplies, more numbers, you're going to win probably, right? So that being said, they had to travel all this equipment, the troops, the soldiers, right? The armaments, the resources, the materials, the supplies across the Atlantic. And it was Germany's goal to try to sink these out of the water before they get to the battlefield. Okay, and that was the danger for many of these American sailors, supply lines, soldiers, troops, you name it. Okay, but radar obviously helped us travel across that Atlantic Ocean and helped us win this war. And realistically, that's what won it for us: the home front and our way of providing supplies and armaments to the war. Okay, and to these areas to help our Allied powers out. Okay, not just Great Britain, but the Soviet Union. We had to travel all the way across the Atlantic, through the Mediterranean Sea, into the Black Sea, and supply the Soviets. Same thing, up through the Atlantic Ocean, the North Sea, the Baltic Sea, and help the Soviets up in St. Petersburg. We know Germany had a full control of the North Sea. Yeah, the Royal Navy was doing a good job at fighting back Germany's Navy, but it was really difficult to try to maneuver through these bodies of water without seeing opposition from Germany. Same thing with the Pacific. Okay, obviously it's more just the United States versus Japan. But supporting the war in Europe was really a daunting task. Okay, even before the war, there's many German U-boats, sightings of German U-boats along the east coast of the United States. There's many reports in New York City, in the harbor, right, in the Hudson Bay, that who knows? There could be an attack. There could be an invasion by Germany. Obviously, there wouldn't be an invasion by submarine. They only can carry maybe 15 to 20 men. But that was a fear of many, many citizens. They had no clue when the attack could happen. They had no clue the potential of what Germany obviously had with their Navy, with their submarines, their U-boats. These attacks could occur at any moment. And let's face it, where do you think a lot of these military bases were located in the United States? Along the East Coast. Right, along the East Coast. So that was very risky and dangerous for the United States, that maybe sooner or later there could be attack on our home soil by the German U-boats. But once the war prolonged, obviously once the war was occurring over a long period of time, by 1941, the chances of Germany actually laying an assault on the United States, sending troops and soldiers across the Atlantic, very slim to none. Okay. All right. So I'll show you this video, the Greyhound, and I'll get you working on your projects. So again, those of you at home, project presentations will be Wednesday. So turn those in by Wednesday.